remember when I was younger, it's probably middle school, later years of elementary school, somewhere around there, I had contracted the chicken pox. Not a big deal. I was young. Chicken pox, I got that, and I got that from some kids at school, and then chicken pox went around the school for the most part. It was, I think, all in all, probably 10-day ordeal from the time that I had known I got it. So I'm sure I had it a little before that. And then I started getting the issues with the itching and the stuff, all over the skin, that kind of stuff. And the headaches, the major fever, feeling drained, sluggishness, all that kind of stuff. I went through it all. And then when it was over, it was over. Boom, bang, done. And the people that had given it to me, or I got it from, and then when I'm sure I passed along to other children. And I do remember a time there that it wasn't a big deal. There wasn't this on the news or in the paper saying there's more cases of chickenpox. This school is facing severe cases of chickenpox. Be careful. Don't let your kids go to school. Keep them away from school. Make them social distance because of chickenpox. We have so many cases of chickenpox. Cases, 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 cases. And you want to make sure you stay away from grandma and grandpa, because if they get chickenpox, they could die. I mean, it's life-threatening. Absolutely, that was true. All of that was true, except for the social distancing and the cases reporting. None of that existed. So what had happened was, you found out, well, grandma and grandpa, well, they had the chickenpox when they were younger. It wasn't a big deal. Now you can be around grandma and grandpa because they're not susceptible. Or anyone with underlying conditions. You had to make sure if you're going to some sort of party, whether it's for Thanksgiving or whether it's for Independence Day, the 4th of July, or whether it's for a birthday party or around the Christmas time, you had to make sure if you're going there, if you have the chickenpox, had the chickenpox, or just got over the chickenpox, or around someone who had the chickenpox, you got to make sure maybe you can't go there, or maybe we have to let this person A and person B know, because they've never had the chickenpox and now they're older in age. By older, the chickenpox is detrimental to people. I believe they used to say back then in their 40s and beyond there, especially people with underlying conditions. So if you never had the chickenpox when they're that age, do what you can to avoid the children who had the chickenpox. If they'd recently just got over it, recently just acquired it, recently, suffering through it. Suffering, I say that lightly. So it wasn't a big deal. And once you had it, boom, you're done. It's over. That's it. You're immune. You're never getting chickenpox again. And that's the way it was. That's the way it was told. That's the way it was known. That's the way it was said. And then, years later, a lot of years later, all of a sudden, children aren't getting chickenpox anymore. And come to find out, through a little bit of research and a little bit of pushing, prodding for answers, that's because now children are vaccinated for chickenpox. They get a shot, the chickenpox vaccine. I guess I was never told why. It wasn't a big deal. When I was younger, it wasn't a big deal at all. It was just a fact of life. That's that. You get it. It's over. You're done. You're good. And then they came out with this vaccine. Coincidentally, big coincidence, as they have aged, the ones who received the vaccine for chickenpox, now coincidentally, there seems to be a huge outbreak of shingles, and that seems to be a big issue. Shingles. That was, at least to my recollection, my knowledge, that was never a big deal. That was a great, an anomaly. It didn't happen very often, people getting the shingles. Well, it's the same virus that causes the chickenpox, just as this out shows up later in life. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm putting that out there. But I'm just trying to use some common sense to this. So, I asked the question, if I got the chickenpox vaccine, and now I get the shingles later in life, are they related in any way? Versus this other person who got the chickenpox when they were younger, never got shingles later, no matter what they did. Is there a reason for that? In my opinion only, I would say absolutely, because the vaccine, and you can look this up, please do a little research, the vaccine only provides or causes your body to provide immunity to basically antibodies on a certain level. That's all it does. It doesn't cause your body to create all of the extended major protections from the virus that you have had. That's just the way it goes. And that's why, in my opinion, that they're coming out with, well, you might need a booster, 10 years later, or that's why you got the smallpox vaccine when you're younger, but now you have to be careful of a smallpox outbreak from some of those same people. Why is that? I thought they got immunity to it when they got the vaccine. Just like I have immunity to chickenpox because I acquired the chickenpox and built natural immunity to that. Not a lab-created immunity. It's a real immunity. So I'm asking these questions, and I'm also asking this question too that I talked about a little bit with the cases and the social distancing and the stay away and that kind of stuff that they're pushing for the stuff nowadays, where you can't go into stores, you need temperature check, you have to practice social distancing, you can't be in groups of more than 6, groups of more than 10, you can't get up from your chair in a restaurant without your mask on, even though you just had it off when you were eating. You can't come into the door with a mask off. As soon as you get to your table, even though it's a step away, you can sit down and take your mask off because of something that they're saying is a virus and it's extremely contagious and it's horrible for grandma and grandpa. Well, back when I was growing up, if it was horrible for grandma and grandpa, the ones who maybe had underlying conditions, or even people that were not grandma and grandpa that had underlying conditions, or people that were susceptible for whatever thing, then you did what you could to avoid being around them at those times. None of this other stuff existed. And I believe most of this stuff is cause for a bigger purpose that they're pushing, in my opinion. So why is this? What happened to the chickenpox? I want to say the same thing with the smallpox. I wasn't around then, but the stories I've heard from people who actually have acquired it tell me it's sort of the same deal with the chickenpox that I went through. There was no big deal. There was no big reporting on this. And the big reporting that we're having now for this coronavirus, this cerveza sickness, is the reporting cases. What's a case? A case means that you got it. That doesn't mean you're susceptible to getting sick, to being contagious to anybody. That means nothing more than you tested for it. And even then, 80% of these tests have proven to be false positives. I'm sure there's proof on the other side of that says something else, but how would both these exist? Something's not right. And you see all these children who've got coronavirus, got the cerveza sickness, and these other people, these adults, who've got it, boom, they got the blahs, they felt down for a little bit, a couple days, boom, they're out, they're back living their life like normal. Now, on that note, this is a virus, they tell me. Through my whole life, whenever I went to the doctor and I was feeling sick, and they would say, well, it's a virus that has to run its course. And on top of that, it's not contagious. You can't give it to anyone else. What is so different and so special about this thing that's a virus that is contagious, unlike all the other ones, and this one you can't let it run its course because they will find something for it, which they haven't been able to do in the last 30 to 40 years that they've been trying to do something for any kind of coronavirus. As I said, take this with a grain of salt, if you will. Look into things. Something's not right. The chickenpox, the smallpox, the virus deal, all the stuff I talked about, in my opinion, is all cause. It's a push to a bigger agenda that is out there. So, as always, make sure you're protected. Food, water, shelter. You're protecting your wealth. You have real money, real assets. Get out of the system the best you can. As always, stay vigilant, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your wealth.